Now the fairway shot. Like here on the long fifth, I'll need all I can get. What do you say about playing off the fairway, Dai?
I always say, if you wonder if you've got enough club, you can be sure that you haven't. The advice I can give to the average, indeed most golfers, is don't take the club you feel that you can reach the green with only if you hit 100% perfect. Because the number of 100% perfect shots hit in a golf round, even by the great players, are very few. In fact, I'd say that it is somewhere between 3 and 7. So if the great players are doing that, what are you doing clubbing with a 100% shot in mind? Take a club that's a little big, a little strong, so that a slight mishit is taken care of.
But there's much more trouble through a green, isn't there?
I could make an awful lot of money if I sat on the back of a green and bet on people passing the flag. If they took one club stronger for their shot, they'd be on the flag or just past it more often. Overclub yourself. Take one club more.
But doesn't that contradict your rule about getting the ball up in the air? Or can't it contradict it? What I mean is, should I use a 2-wood off the fairway instead of a 3-wood?
There's no contradiction, Dudley. When you're thinking in terms of a 3 or a 2-iron, or a 3 or a 2-wood, take one less. I want people to hit the ball, even if they can't get it all the way there.
Well, what about this shot? A downhill lie. It's a pretty hard one to bring off, isn't it?
I agree. The downhill lie is the hardest shot in golf. With the ground going away from you, you tend to swing through, and you never stay down with the ball. I think when you have a downhill lie, two things apply. First, you've got to realize that your left foot is below your right foot, and your golf club face is 1 or 2 clubs stronger at impact than it is on level ground. So club yourself accordingly by taking 1 or 2 clubs more lofted. Secondly, the execution of the stroke is somewhat different. I make a concentrated effort to relax my right knee a little bit more to help keep me in the slope. And think in terms of trying to make the club head travel 6 inches along the contour of the ground after impact. It's virtually impossible to do this, but the very fact that you have it in mind will help you stay in the shot.
And the uphill lie?
Just the reverse. Club yourself with a straighter face. Relax the left knee. This is the one time I suggest, furthermore, that you have more weight on your left foot to help you stay forward and in balance.
So, to sum up the subject of clubbing, a player rarely uses enough club on the fairway. Dai Rees is so certain about this, he's ready to sit behind a green and bet on it. Remember, if you wonder if you've got enough club, you haven't. And remember too, on those nasty downhill lies, use a club a little more lofted than you feel you need. And quite the other way round, use one a little stronger when you're attacking an uphill shot. Then, of course, there's another problem. Wind, always difficult on exposed courses.
What about the wind, Dai? Obviously, we've got to modify your advice at this stage with the wind in our face. I've got to hit the ball low, under the wind. I kind of wish I'd kept that driver in my bag.
2 wood will do you. Also tee the ball up in a slightly different position. You'll have to have the ball a little further back. You're then going to make earlier contact, which will tend to make you hook. So you must make absolutely sure that you extend the path of your follow-through out to the target.
What's the purpose of teeing it back so far?
You'll hit it earlier and therefore lower. And also you'll stay on the ball longer. And providing you stay with it, you'll have more control.
You advocate rooting the feet firmly on the turf too, of course, don't you?
Yes, and a wider stance for balance, and a shorter grip on the club for control. When you're in the wind, there is one thing you must always remember. Irrespective of how you stand, you must not swing harder or faster. In the wind is the time to swing easy.
In other words, fight that temptation to let it rip.
Exactly. That's why most of the shots are spoiled in the wind. Trying to fight it. Use the wind. You can't beat it, so you had better join it.
So there are 3 things to remember about playing in the wind. 1, play the ball a little bit farther back on your setup. 2, root yourself into the ground with a somewhat wider stance than usual. And 3, don't fight it. Swing slow in the wind. It's an easy thing to say, but maybe not so easy to follow. Now Dust is playing his tee shot.
Well, there's a slice for you, and right into the cabbage.
Most courses, except Royal Birkdale for instance, punish slices more than do hooks. The slice is the most common fault in golf, and I could have guessed that you were going to slice that one.
How's that?
Well, the ordinary golfer doesn't play often enough to keep supple. He tends not to turn sufficiently in his backswing, and then automatically he finds he's coming across the ball outside to inside. Again, the left hand is leading, and the club face wide open when the ball is struck. Slice.
Well, how do I sort that one out?
First, guard against your instincts. A player who slices will often instinctively attempt to correct it by opening his stance, dropping his left foot back. That can only make it worse. Remedy, stand square to the target, shoulder square to the target, and keep the right hand in the swing.
I tend to slice when I'm tired. I suppose most golfers do. From what you just said, can I gather that when I'm tired, I might close the stance or hood the club head a bit?
No. You may hit it correctly, and then where are you? Immediately you start feeling tired, think of your right hand, and don't stay flat-footed. Make sure you transfer your weight from your right foot to your left foot. Here's your ball, Dudley, in the thick stuff.
Can't say I fancy that lie very much. I suppose I can reach the green all right if I can get the club at the ball. I'd say the 6-iron.
No, I don't think so, Dudley. Rough is like a downhill lie. Take a more lofted club than you feel you ought to. Your first object is to get out of this stuff. Your first decision is, how am I going to get it back on the fairway? There comes a time, of course, on the last hole when you're in the rough and the other fellow's on the green, and you've got to have a go. But no matter what your objective, in the rough, take 1 or 2 clubs more lofted than what you'd need on the fairway. Obviously, you've got to get it up quick. Then the swing. One thing you cannot do is to take the club back as you would normally. There's too much heavy grass in the way, so you have to lift it more steeply. Otherwise, you'll get the club caught up in the backswing. So first of all, stand further in front of the ball. It makes the steepest backswing. Secondly, stand fractionally closer to the ball, because that too reduces the arc. You're taking the club through less grass. Furthermore, since you're hitting the ball with your hands and the club face tends to get caught up in the grass, turn the toe in a little. Hood it a little. That's what I do in deep grass, because the club head is going to turn on you. Now on the downswing, make certain your hips get through on the shot and give it a little BF.
BF?
Brute force. Brute force. Give it some stick.
All right.
The slice and the consequences of the slice. It's gratifying, or at least comforting, to learn that the slice is the most common fault in golf. On this subject, let's just emphasize a few of the warnings. You're coming across the ball, outside to inside. So perhaps you're not square to the line of flight. Maybe your stance is a little too open. And keep your right hand in the shot. About the rough, it's interesting to hear from Dai that most courses penalize the slicer. And the best way to get out of the rough? Rees had a number of handy little tips. Maybe we ought to memorize them. Make a mental checklist. 1, use a little more loft in your club. 2, a steeper backswing. You achieve this by moving closer to the ball and a bit forward on it. 3, turn in the toe of the club, hood it a bit. In heavy grass, the club will turn on you. And 4, get the hips through and give it a bit of stick. That's the gospel, according to Dai Rees.
No, put away the pitching wedge, Dudley. Very few middle handicappers, I'd go so far as to say very few low handicap golfers, can play the short pitch successfully. not the pitch that floats up and stops by the flag. For the average and even the better than average golfer, I advise the pitch and run. The average golfer doesn't have to think of eliminating the bad bounces that the top-class players do. The ones that wedge and chip the ball over everything between them and the pin. But I say, if there's nothing in your way, hit it along the ground with a 7-iron, a 5-iron, or a putter. Whether you've chosen a 7-iron, or a 5-iron, or a putter, I get used to playing with the club. Think, this is the club, I'll play for this shot. Don't fiddle about wondering. Make your decision and be positive.
That sounds simple enough, but why the pitch and run?
Because you'll at least get it on the green, even if you fluff it.
But surely, Dai, you sometimes have to pitch over the rough stuff or over the bunkers. What are your thoughts on pitching, say, from about 20 to 30 yards?
Well, by now you've opened your stance. You can see the target better and you'll get more right hand in the shot. Put a lot of right hand in the pitching shot. As a matter of fact, I advocate practicing pitching one-handed, with just the right hand. It'll help your feel. When I practice, or when I try to teach people how to practice, in fact, I start at the edge of the green and practice with a little pitch, almost an underhand bowling action. Then I work out, 10 yards, 20 yards, 50 to 80 yards. It's a good idea, this. Practice your shots from the edge of the green, back to the tee. Feel, and again you'll also learn to judge distance.
Pitch and run and how to practice it. Coming into the green, says Dai, if there's nothing in your way, pitch and run. Let the ball bobble up to the flag. Practice by starting at the edge of the green and working your way back. Search for the feel of the shot. It only comes with practice, and so does the art of putting.
Well, Dai, here we are on the putting green. The game within the game. I suppose the number of words written about putting this year, any year, will stretch from here to St. Andrews. And still nobody's got the answer. Watching great players and reading about them, I find it difficult to discover much in common among them. For example, Arnold Palmer, who we might forget was really a great putter in his heyday, he had the touch of a blacksmith, the way he banged them against the back of the cup. Palmer is wristy. Billy Casper is wristy, and he holds the club with a reverse overlap grip. Bob Charles putts with his arms. Gary Player doesn't set up square. Jack Nicklaus sets up every which way, and all in the same round.
Yes, and probably the best putter of the lot, Bobby Locke. His stroke came from the inside out, right across the line of the putt.
So what are we to make of all this? First, take the putter, the club itself. There are hundreds of putters on the market. Mallets, goosenecks, center shafts, heel and toe, light, heavy, and all the rest of them. Is there any one that strikes you as superior?
No, not really. It's all a matter of confidence and feel, and if you're not having success with the club, your confidence will go. And if your confidence is gone, change the putter. I've seen people putt well with the leg of a stool.
Having said that, I think the lie of the putter is very important. If you address the ball with an upright stance, for instance, and you've got a very flat putter,
Well, it's terribly easy to miss the putt round the corner. In answer to your question, though, no. There isn't a single putter which is superior for every golfer. If the feel is right, stick with what you've got.
What about the setup?
Well, again, as you say, they vary. Still, I think, unless you're uncomfortable with it, the square stance with the tramline stroke is the best. It's got to be. Theoretically, it's right. If you've got something traveling along the path you choose, that's half the battle. Ben Hogan taught me that. He wasn't a bad putter.
That brings us back to the back of the left hand, right? I mean, correct?
Correct. Straight back. Straight through. Providing you keep the back of the left hand to the hole as you're going. And the palm of the right hand, just as I talked about the longer shots early in the program. And certainly keep your head down. Right down. I hate the little word tricks in golf, but Harry Bradshaw, the great Irish player and my colleague in so many Ryder Cup sides, once said a very wise thing. He said, once you've struck the ball, there's nothing you can do about it. So don't look to see if the ball goes into the hole. Listen. That's a very good maxim as far as putting is concerned.
Head down, square stance, club straight back and straight through.
Yes, and the putting stroke, I maintain, is best kept short. As short as possible. What I mean is, take the putting stroke you have now at this moment, Dudley, and then try to make it a little bit shorter. That's it. Short backswing, then wrap the ball and follow through. A short follow through. In fact, the same distance as your backswing. It's rhythm and balance. Short backswing, wrap, short follow through. Short backswing, wrap, short follow through. Hit it sharp and stop quickly. Hit it sharp and stop quickly. I find myself that there are far more putts missed by having an extended follow through than by any other aspect of the stroke. If you have an extended follow through, it not only tends to send the ball offline, but it creates body movement. And this is one thing you want to avoid in putting. Hence the head down, as I said earlier.
Cut down your margin for error.
Right. Cut down your margin for error. And another thing that cuts down the margin for error, pick out a spot on the green, en route to the hole, then putt over it.
How far from your ball?
The spot has got to be somewhere you can see without lifting your head. Something you can see out of the corner of your eye. Also, it must be a spot which you know in your mind that you're certain of putting over. If you pick a spot too far away, you'll create an element of doubt in your mind straight away. Never have an element of doubt in your mind in any golf shot, or you won't have a hope of making the shot. If on a putt you have a doubt in yourself, there's no way in the world that your mind will allow you to make it.
You've played with a lot of the great putters. Casper, Charles, Hogan, Bobby Locke, Bobby Jones even. What did you learn from them?
Well, as I said, Hogan was a real advocate of the squared-up stance and the tramline stroke. He gave it that sharp rap. As for Bobby Locke, he was a law unto himself. He had a routine, as he did with all his shots, of bringing his club inside the line of his backswing and out across and over the ball.
Pure touch.
Yes, pure touch, the hallmark of a genius. What he did do, and what Bobby Jones did so well with Calamity Jane, was to let the ball die at the hole. All of their putts only just got to the hole. I don't think anybody ever judged distances better than they did. That way, the ball can drop in through the front, back, or either side door. You know, and I know, the very fast charging palmer putt has only one chance, when it hits the back of the cup and falls in. So let the ball die at the hole. For a start, however wide you are, you can't finish far off, and I think it also helps you to get the feel, get the touch.
Ah, this is all very well and good, but,
I know what you're going to say. Never up, never in.
no, more important. How am I going to do it? How am I supposed to practice this putt?
Use the kitchen floor. If you can cultivate such a sensitive stroke as to be able to putt on lino, then when it comes to a golf green, you'll find you've got a good touch. And another thing, if you're going through a bad patch of putting, practice with the little ones. The 6 and 9 inches. Start with the tiddlers. Start with the simple little ones you can't miss. Make the little ones first, then move out a little further, and a little further, and a little further away from the hole. If you miss, start again and build it up until you're able to knock them in from 5 and 6 feet. It's confidence building. That's what putting is all about.
Like that, Dai.
Like that, Dudley.
A finishing 4. That'll bring me back for more of it. Thanks a lot, Dai. Any parting tips on the game?
Keep the ball airborne.
What was that, Dai?
Keep the ball in the air.